Welcome back to Healthy Child Habits, where we empower you to make the best choices for your little ones. Today we are tackling a topic that might feel scary but is absolutely vital for every parent to understand. We are talking about the hidden dangers in baby formula. Now, before we dive in, I want to make one thing crystal clear. Formula is a life-saving miracle for millions of families, and fed is always best. The goal of this video is not to scare you away from formula but to give you the knowledge you need to navigate the shelves safely and prepare it in a way that protects your baby's health. We are going to uncover the truth about heavy metals, bacterial risks that most parents do not know about, and the common preparation mistakes that can turn a healthy bottle into a hazard. Before we jump right in, do consider subscribing to this channel so you don't miss the next video on healthy child habits. Let's start with the issue that has been making headlines recently, which is heavy metals. You might have seen news reports about arsenic, lead, cadmium, and mercury being found in baby foods and formulas. It sounds terrifying because we know these metals are neurotoxins that can impact a child's developing brain. The reality is that these metals are naturally occurring in the Earth's crust, and because ingredients like rice, soy, and vitamins come from the earth, they can absorb these metals from the soil and water. A recent investigation by Consumer Reports found that while many formulas are safe, some tested positive for concerning levels of heavy metals. This is particularly true for soy-based formulas and those containing rice starch, which tends to absorb more arsenic from the ground than other crops. The danger here is not usually acute poisoning where your baby gets sick immediately. The risk is cumulative. It is about small amounts building up over time, which can potentially lower IQ or cause behavioral issues later in life. So what can you actually do about this? First, do not panic. The FDA is working on a closer to zero plan to reduce these levels, but until regulations are tighter, you can take action. If possible, try to rotate the types of formula you use if your baby tolerates it. This prevents your child from being exposed to the specific contaminant profile of just one brand. If you use a plant-based or soy formula, consider speaking to your pediatrician about whether it is medically necessary or if a cow milk-based option might be lower in these specific heavy metals. Knowledge is your best defense here, and simply being aware that organic does not automatically mean free of heavy metals is a huge step forward. Organic certification regulates pesticides, but it does not regulate the metal content in the soil where the ingredients were grown. Now we need to talk about a more immediate risk that flies under the radar for many parents, and that is bacterial contamination. There is a common misconception that powdered baby formula is sterile. It is not. Unlike ready-to-feed liquid formula, which is commercially sterilized, powdered formula can harbor harmful bacteria like Chronobacter, Sakazaki, or Salmonella. Chronobacter is rare, but it can be incredibly dangerous, especially for newborns under 3 months. Those born prematurely, or babies with weakened immune systems. This bacteria can survive in dry foods like powdered formula, and if it gets into a bottle, it can cause severe infections like sepsis or meningitis. This brings us to the critical importance of how you prepare the bottle. Many of us were taught to just use warm tap water or bottled water at room temperature. However, leading health organizations like the World Health Organization suggest that for high-risk infants, you should boil water and let it cool to no less than 70 degrees Celsius or about 158 degrees Fahrenheit before mixing it with the powder. This temperature is hot enough to kill any bacteria that might be lurking in the powder itself. Of course, you then have to cool the bottle down quickly under running water so it does not burn your baby's mouth. If your baby is older and healthy, the risk is much lower, but for those first few fragile months, this step can be a game changer for safety. Another hidden danger lies in the water source itself. If you are using tap water, you need to know what is in it. Old pipes can leach lead into the water, and boiling water actually concentrates lead rather than removing it. If you live in an older home, have your water tested. On the flip side, if you are using bottled water exclusively, you might be skipping out on fluoride, which is important for developing teeth, or conversely, using water with mineral content that is too high for a baby's kidneys to handle. The best approach is to use filtered tap water if you know your pipes are safe, or look for nursery water specifically designed for infant use. Let's shift gears to the container. We are all aware of BPA-free plastics now, but microplastics are the new concern. When we heat plastic bottles or shake them vigorously to mix the formula, they can shed millions of microscopic plastic particles into the milk. While the long-term health effects of microplastics are still being studied, it is something many parents want to avoid. A simple fix is to mix the formula in a glass or stainless steel container first and then pour it into the bottle, or simply switch to glass bottles. They are heavier and breakable, but they are chemically inert and much easier to clean thoroughly. Speaking of cleaning, that is our next hidden danger zone. It is easy to get lax about washing bottles, especially during those 3 a.m. feeds, but simply rinsing a bottle out is not enough. Formula is rich in fats and proteins, which creates a perfect breeding ground for bacteria if a thin film is left behind. You need to use hot soapy water and a bottle brush that reaches every nook and cranny, and do not forget the nipples and the ring. If you use a dishwasher, make sure it has a hot sanitizing cycle. If you are washing by hand, let the bottles air dry on a clean towel or rack, rather than drying them with a dish towel, which can transfer germs back onto the clean surface. We also need to touch on the danger of formula hacking. You might see recipes online for homemade formula or tips to stretch your formula supply by adding more water. Please never do this. Homemade formulas often lack critical nutrients or have incorrect ratios of protein and electrolytes, which can lead to severe malnutrition or kidney failure. Diluting formula with too much water to make the tub last longer is equally dangerous. It can lead to water intoxication, which can cause seizures. Always follow the scoop to water ratio on the can exactly. If you are struggling to afford formula, please reach out to your pediatrician or local WIC office rather than altering the recipe. Finally, let's talk about storage. Once you have mixed a bottle, the clock starts ticking. If your baby has started drinking from the bottle, bacteria from their mouth has been introduced to the milk. You should discard any leftovers after 1 hour. Do not put it back in the fridge for later. If you have prepared a batch of formula that has not been touched yet, it can stay in the fridge for up to 24 hours, but never leave prepared formula out at room temperature for more than 2 hours. These time limits exist because bacteria multiply rapidly in that warm, nutrient-rich liquid. So let's recap the actionable habits you can start today. First, research your formula brand and consider checking third-party testing sites for heavy metal levels. Second, treat powdered formula as a raw, non-sterile ingredient. If your baby is very young or vulnerable, use water hot enough to kill bacteria when mixing. Third, ensure your water source is safe and free of lead. Fourth, consider using glass bottles or mixing in glass to reduce microplastics. And finally, follow the instructions on the can religiously regarding ratios and storage times. Parenting is a journey of learning, and nobody gets it perfect 100% of the time. The goal is to reduce risk where we can. By being aware of these hidden dangers, you are already protecting your child in a huge way. If you found this deep dive helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to Healthy Child Habits and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. We are here to make the complex world of parenting just a little bit simpler. Let me know in the comments if you have ever switched formula brands because of safety concerns. I will see you in the next video.